Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Say Report. I'm your host, Devon Decker, and joining me, it's my host companion, Sejohn Sarwick. How you doing, you alien pig pervert?
Great, awesome, fantastic. Glad that that's out there.
Well, you know what? If you're going to watch Duck Dodgers in the 23rd and a half century, the television program, and send me screenshots, things are going to be said about the screenshots in which you sent.
Yeah, man. No, I rediscovered Duck Dodgers. I don't know. It's a show that I very much adored when it was on, but I never really was able to watch religiously. It was both at a time where I personally was no longer watching TV that way, right? Like, because there was just so much going on in high school, and so I watched TV, but not purposefully. Like, right? Like, I caught what I caught. And then on top of that, it was also a time when shit like this, Duck Dodgers being a good example of this, just being fucking tossed around left, right, and center. Like, release schedules were not a thing. Time of day didn't fucking matter. They would just put new episodes on whenever there was a slot to put new episodes on. So, like, it's not like I think I could have followed this show if I wanted to.
You know what I like about Duck Dodgers? I like the name of the Martian queen. I like that she's Queen Tyr'ahnee. I think that's super clever. I'm going to be honest with you.
No, I mean, so one of the things that I really like about it, right, is it's this idea that, you know, we talk about this with the Muppets, this verisimilitude of the existence of the Looney Tunes as like actors in like our world, right? Mm-hmm. And Duck Dodgers plays that up immensely. The whole opening credits is Daffy Duck as Duck Dodgers, Porky Pig as Cadet, right? Like they're billing it as if they are not. This is not the world, but a show that they are putting on in their world, which is really cool. And like you see that all the time with like Disney and stuff, right? Yeah. Like you see all sorts of stuff in that regard. But they don't. I don't think they do that enough with the Looney Tunes, because I would love to see like a Sherlock Holmes or something like that, you know?
Well, I think what we learned with something like Coyote versus Acme, and even The Day the Earth Stood Stupid, was that the name of the one from last year?
No, The Day the Earth Blew Up. Okay. Which is actually why I'm watching this, because I was never... The pairing of Porky Pig and Donald Duck and Daffy Duck was kind of revelatory to me. Like, I never thought about those two characters interacting. It was always Daffy Duck and Bugs if he was going to be with somebody, right? Like, as I was growing up. So, like, getting to see the show where, like, his straight man was actually Porky, and it actually is my favorite relationship now. So, like, when they announced The Day the Earth blew up, and it was the two of them as the stars, I was super excited. I enjoyed that movie very much. So, this is no joke. My plan is to watch through this. I have all of the special edition stuff from the DVDs, so I also have access to like the old Duck Dodgers cartoons, the Tiny Toons episode that features a Duck Dodgers storyline. Like there's a whole bunch of really good extras that came with the DVD. And so on top of all of that, I'm gonna then watch The Day the Earth Blew Up again.
Nice. I mean, yeah, but the unfortunate thing is, the Looney Tunes don't really move the needle the way that they used to. I mean, even then, like, we have that episode where we looked at the first episode of Lunatics Unleashed, and by all accounts, that show should have worked. Like, based on everything else that was on television at the time, the reason it doesn't work is because it's the Looney Tunes. Like it's
but it didn't feel like it was Bugs Bunny right? Like that was not what was going on in that show in particular, right?
No.
I think you know what it is that it wasn't enough of one or the other. It wasn't either a new enough IP for people to be interested in some way, but it also didn't really reference Looney Tunes enough for it to bring in old fans.
Yeah, anyway, you know, that's actually, I mean,
Unleashed.
You can go listen to our whole thing, our whole episode on it where like, and that was a while ago. I think that was like 2018 that we did that. 29. We did that episode a long time ago. I'd love to go back to Lunatics Unleashed. I'd like to watch more episodes. Honestly, there are a lot of those. There's one episode that really bothers me, but other than that, like, and it bothers me because of my empathy as a human being, which is like something that Devon Decker just said. I'm sure nobody had that on their bingo card for 2026, but I'm too empathetic for an episode of Looney Tunes Lunatics Unleashed that was weirdly like the first episode that I saw. And that is one of the reasons why I never really got into the show. Because I'm just like, oh, I feel so bad for the villain of this episode.
Oh, man.
But I mean, you say that pairing of Porky and Daffy, like, it's strange because you're right, because we do think of Daffy Duck, Bugs Bunny as the two who are paired together, but Daffy's first cartoon is a Porky Pig picture, like Porky's Duck Hunt in 1937.
I think that is something that they're aware of when they make this choice, right?
Yes.
Like when they make the choice to put Porky in this show with Daffy, I think it is a conscious decision to say, like, you know, like the true homies will get it, right? Like the ones that have been there since the beginning will understand why this choice was made. But like 12-year-old me when this show started in 2002, 2003.
See, you were 18 when the show started. Maybe 17.
When did the show?
2003 is when Duck Dodgers premiered.
Yeah. So like there was like there I didn't have that knowledge. I didn't have that background to it, right? But I'm sure there were people out there that very much dig it. And the other thing is, like, it is a show that goes on for like 3 seasons. I think there are only 13 episode seasons, I think. So there's only like 39 episodes, but like that's a solid run, especially for a kind of narrative-based cartoon show in the early 2000s. You know, the thing that made what's the one there that everybody loves, Avatar, as huge as it was that it was a narrative-based kids show that was actually like succeeding in terms of like ratings and stuff like that. So like it was very rare that you got a kids show where it wasn't just like, you know, the basic sitcom shit of everything resets at the end of everything.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong about that. And honestly, Duck Dodgers, I mean, so when you saw the show, were you familiar with the original short from 1953?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so
Duck Dodgers was one of my, when I was growing up, Duck Dodgers was one of my favorite Looney Tunes characters. I knew that it was Daffy Duck, and Daffy Duck was weirdly not my favorite Looney Tune. But Duck Dodgers was my favorite Looney Tune like concept. And there was a couple of shorts, I think. There was Duck Dodgers in the 21st and a half century, and then 24th and a half century, and then there was like the Return of Duck Dodgers or something like that. I forget, but there was definitely there was definitely
Duck Dodgers and the Return of the 24th.
Very little of it.
Sorry. Very little of it. I thought you were stopping. Yeah, so Duck Dodgers and the Return of the 24th and a half century is the sequel made in 1980, where suddenly the Looney Tunes, like, we weirdly had a lot of Looney Tunes exposure as kids, considering they were like 60 years old at the time.
Yeah, I mean, but we were prime target audience, though, for things like Boomerang coming around at that time, which was all about bringing back all that lost media. And you know, there were a lot of channels all of a sudden, and a lot of people needed to fill airtime. And so, you know what they did? They bought up old fucking cartoons and put them on during certain periods, so they'd at least get some eyeballs throughout the day. You know, like Looney Tunes, I think. I don't know if it must have been Cartoon Network, right? But I'm pretty sure I was watching Looney Tunes on all sorts of places.
Oh, Looney Tunes was on Nickelodeon before Cartoon Network started. And before Nicktoons started. Because they were getting eyeballs on shows that they didn't own. Because Nickelodeon was just like, this is network for kids. But it really had like game shows for kids. It had a couple of live action shows for kids, like Welcome Freshmen. You can't do that on television. And then most of the cartoons were things that were purchased that had already existed. Like, you know, basically syndicated runs that happened on Nickelodeon, or old stuff that nobody was playing. So Nickelodeon sees, oh my God, what if we owned these IPs? And we could, like, make money off of the merchandising and everything. So that's where the Nicktoons come from. They also come from the success that they see on MTV, which is owned by the same parent company at the time. So, like, that happens.
Nicktoons was basically MTV for tweens, was basically kind of the whole vibe. In the early days.
For kids, the tweens of it all, like, they were aiming at a younger demographic. And that's why, like, you've told the story before, you weren't allowed to watch, like, Rugrats and things because of that association with MTV. Which is just crazy to me. Like, I mean, I get it, but, like, as somebody who, like, my mother was in the room excited to watch Nicktoons. Like, they were things like they were new cartoons that she could enjoy weekly with me. And I don't know if she's just the greatest actor in the world or if she really enjoyed them. I know she enjoyed Ren and Stimpy because she will still reference Ren and Stimpy to this day. And that's just facts. But also because of all of the success that Looney Tunes was having on Nickelodeon, the people who owned Looney Tunes were like, well, we should start a network and capitalize on this because we own these characters.
Right.
So it's crazy. It is just nuts. And I will say, while I've watched episodes of Duck Dodgers, the other thing about the Duck Dodgers cartoon is that they're 11-minute shorts, right? It's like every episode of those 39 episodes is comprised of 2 11-minute shorts. 11 minutes just being like an industry term. Sometimes they're shorter, sometimes they're a little bit longer. Especially
like inevitably happens with a lot of these shows is I think when you get into seasons 2 and 3, you start to see certain episodes that are the double lengths. But yes, it is primarily 2.
And while that was certainly a show that occasionally if I got back to like my dorm room, I would catch an episode of Duck Dodgers and I enjoyed it. Like, I'm not kidding when I say I am a huge fan of like Queen Tyr'ahnee. I think it's a hilarious joke. But when I think about Cartoon Network at the time when Duck Dodgers was playing, another of our favorites comes to mind, and that is Megas XLR.
Yes. Oh yeah. No, 100%.
And
for
what?
Sure.
And
yeah, but it's kind of in that same vein, right? It's feeding that old school sci-fi, right? In it's Megazords with Megas, right? Like it's the giant fighting robot like stuff that's amazing there. But then with Duck Dodgers, it's the old sci-fi space opera serials, right? That we all loved Star Wars at the time.
Yeah, it had come back. It made sense that was Warner's answer to like, oh, well, they have Star Wars, we'll do this. Like, it makes perfect sense. I think my issue, and this is purely a Devon issue, is Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies had the same effect on me as like sketch comedy, which is I could watch one episode and it would have my full attention, but then diminishing returns as I tried to watch more. Like Looney Tunes is on? Oh, hell yeah, I'm excited. Foghorn Leghorn's doing something. That's fantastic. Oh, it's the Wile E. Coyote one where he's talking to the camera and he's actually like intelligent. Like, yeah. And then like the next one is like, oh, it's a Pepe Le Pew. I'm a little bored already. And it's not just because it's Pepe Le Pew. It could just as easily be a Daffy Duck. And I'm like, like I know how this is gonna go. Like the problem with that is, for me, like it loses its wonder the more I watch. So I mean, Duck Dodgers being a half-hour show, and I don't think it ever played in a marathon at any time when I would have watched it. I mean, the show concludes its run on. Oh gosh, I closed it. What am I doing? We're doing a show, Devon, you moron. It concludes its run on Cartoon Network on April 22nd, 2005, and then it picks up on Boomerang exclusively from September 16th through November 11th of 2005. So it's one of those shows that, like, it wasn't doing the numbers on Cartoon Network. They're like, we're going to let you finish it. But finishing it was on Boomerang, which was... like, can we someday, we don't have to do it now because I'm not prepared for it. It was weird when cable became more like cable, right? Yeah. Like, well, everybody has Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and Disney Channel. What if we add Nickelodeon Gas and Cartoon Network Boomerang and Disney, I guess, XD, though it wasn't called that at the time. But, like...
Yeah.
That was weird. It was a weird moment for that. Toon Disney. Toon Disney was what it was called before it became Disney XD. And it was awesome. God. The amount of nights that we stayed up all night in my living room watching, like, Legends of the Hidden Temple or old episodes of As Told by Ginger or frickin' Gargoyles.
Nick Arcade.
Oh, God. I honestly, if we could get the type of time travel where when we travel back in time, we could also de-age ourselves. So I guess it's 2 technologies that we need. I would love it if we could go on Nick fucking Arcade. I just need to say it. Like, that would be the coolest fucking thing. And also, on the Duck Dodgers thing, it's Paul Dini is one of the producers behind it. And he can be traced through 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, into The New Adventures of Batman alongside Bruce Timm, into Tiny Toon Adventures, into Freakazoid. Thank you.
He does Freakazoid at one point,
Yeah. Well, he's one of the creators of Freakazoid. He created it alongside Bruce Timm. So, I mean, created it. There are a couple of Madman fans who would get real mad at me for saying that. But, you know, he's a different character. But yes, so, like, that is my type of humor. And so whenever, I never have actively sought out an episode of Duck Dodgers, but I've never been disappointed when I watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, last thing I'll say is that if you're looking for a good entry point to check out like where Looney Tunes is at right now, there was the new Looney Tunes show that ended a few years back, and the very last episode is called Daffy and Wacky Land, and it is entirely stop motion. It is crazy. It is Daffy and the Dodo, and they're in Wacky Land. If you remember that reference to some later cartoons, and it is stop motion, and it is fucking delightful. But that show, the latest Looney Tunes collective show that they did they did like a 3-year run of, I think, like, was so experimental and fun. It has a Halloween cartoon in it that I love to watch every year because it's got some really good animation in it. But yeah, check out the very last episode of that series, which is Daffy and Wacky Land. It's fucking crazy.
Is that the series where Daffy gets his own Lola Bunny and like Tina? And Lola is voiced by Kristen Wiig?
No, that's the Looney Tunes show that was a lot more narrative. But that one's fucking wild.
I love that.
About like Bugs and Daffy being like bachelors, but then like having, finding these women, because Bugs is weirdly not into Lola in that series. Anyway, no, that's a different series.
Because Lola is not the athlete that launched 1,000 masturbatory journeys in the 90s, right? Talk about a space jam. Fuck me. I'm so mad about
Gross. Yeah, but so am I.
But she's like, they make Lola, she's got like such a manic energy. I mean, and Kristen Wiig as the voice of her, and that is awesome. She's
but they also make her a Mary Sue is the real issue. Like a definitive example of a Mary Sue. She is such a big fan of Bugs, and Bugs is not really that interested in her, and she takes it to a upsetting level. Like, I really do adore that show, but if there is one criticism that show deserves to hear until the end of fucking time, is they did Lola Bunny so dirty in that show.
So, I mean, talking about that, Mary Sue is a character who's depicted as unrealistically lacking in flaws or weaknesses. Is it that, and in addition, she's hopelessly devoted to Bugs? Like, she gets away with everything?
Part of the Mary Sue bit of it was that also they're so kind of perky and fangirlish. Is that not part of that as well?
I mean, not according to the definition that comes up from, like, on Google when you type it. From the name of a character in A Trekkie's Tale, a parody fan fiction story based on Star Trek. So I imagine it would make sense, but it is like where they're free from flaws. A Mary Sue often applied to any heroine who is considered to be unrealistically capable. I don't really see anything about like the fangirl part of it. Like that. That's why I looked.
But whatever. They do Lola Bunny like super dirty in that show, because they make her this just like this really less independent woman. Like it sucks. But the show otherwise is pretty fun. But no, this was a Looney Tunes show that they did for a few years on HBO Max that was just new Looney Tunes, like cool. Like 11-minute long Looney Tunes, and they did that for a few years.
Well, I mean, I love Wacky Land. I guess Steven Spielberg, right, is who I would have to give credit to. Like, whoever thought to put the Dodo in as one of the like main cast for Tiny Toon's Adventures really understood how great and underutilized that character was. Because I think of and that was awesome. So to hear that they went back to it and for it to be stop motion animation, which I mean, that episode has not yet released, but Sejohn learned some of the secrets of my past that relate to stop motion animation on a time capsule episode recently. Yeah, that is an interesting thing you bring up there, my friend. All right, so this episode was going to be all about choices for you, Sejohn. And you came in here and you made a bold choice, getting us to talk about Duck Dodgers, the cartoon series. But now I have two more choices to present to you. I came in here wanting to talk about video games, specifically one that I bought for you this week that I'm very excited to discuss. And then the other thing that I want to talk about is a film that I saw this past week, and I'm going to go heavy on that fucking film. Now, it's going to be like spoiler territory, so just being honest. Like, if we want to save that for the end so we can tell people to check out, but it's your choice as to which one.
No, we should definitely do the video game thing first, because I dove into the game as well. Probably not as deep as you. I think I saw that you played for about 4 hours. I've only played for about 1 or 1.5.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that. But I did want to also just quickly, you asked and I wanted to do an update live on where I'm at currently with my journey with Resident Evil Requiem. And let me just say that, like, I checked out at Big Lady and I've been really scared to go back.
But, like, where at Big Lake? You know what, though? I thought I saw images of you in...
No. Yeah. No, I've gone back in bits and pieces, but I have not sat down for, like, a good, like, 2-hour-long session of playing that game.
And that's fair.
Since the fuck, oh my god. That moment when you wake up in that hospital and, like, it becomes what that game becomes, right? Because, like, before that, it's creepy, but, like, that is when it becomes a fucking monster movie, and, like, you got me. It's you know what it is? It was the equivalent of, in Village, I really struggled to get past the giant baby in the dollhouse.
That's fine. That's completely understandable.
You know, it's that style of comedy, like comedy. It's that style of horror, which is actually rather comedic in the if you pull it back far enough. Because the Resident Evil games are fucking hilarious, but there is this style of horror that I really struggle with in the video game format. Amnesia does it, and does it well. Like, I'm not going to say that these are bad games because I can't play them. I understand that they are well-made games. Honestly, Amnesia does it better in its follow-up that came out a few years ago called The Bunker, which is this really wild World War I horror story all about a guy trapped in a bunker with some creature. It's really, really fucked up and awesome. Story-wise, at least, I again, cannot play those games. But yeah, so, like, that style of, like, you don't really have a way to defend yourself. You hide. Right, and the latest Five Nights at Freddy's was all about this too. The Secret of the Mimics game that they just put out, like, it was not about you defending yourself against the creature, and you don't really have that opportunity. Your only choice is to hide and, like, scamper, and it's just like, I don't know. That style of horror game just has never really truly worked for me. I like moments of that. Don't get me wrong, to, like, heighten tension, but for that to be the whole mechanic of the game loop is just not my jam.
And honestly, oh god, then Insanity Mode is so not going to be your jam.
Yeah, well, I knew it was never going to be, Devon. Yeah. Let's be honest here.
That's true. I mean, I get where you're coming from with that. Because the only thing that you have as grace to defend yourself with for, like, a long section of the Rhodes Hill Mental Institution, like, area is the Requiem and a single bullet. Okay. You do not get a pistol. You have to, like, you don't start with a pistol. You have to find either of the pistols to defend yourself as her. And, like, that was crazy. Like, legitimately, the Insanity Mode in Resident Evil Requiem feels like it was built to be a New Game Plus. And honestly, I'm okay that you brought up Resident Evil, because we do have a promise to, like, answer for, to where we talk about Resident Evil Requiem speedrunning, which is a fucking mess right now. They waited, like, the 2-3 weeks to open up the leaderboards. And the next day, a wrinkle was discovered that kind of blew everything out of the water. And yeah, so we're going to talk about it because we said we were going to. So the reason why I asked how far you are, because part of the wrinkle, I don't want to spoil something for you. So you did send a photo in the Discord of the Mr. Raccoon base from Resident Evil 2. I don't know if they're in the original, but they're definitely in Remake. So you're back in Raccoon City, which is not a spoiler that you go back to Raccoon City. And if this...
No, but that reveal, man, they did that awesome thing that I fucking love. It's like the beginning of Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, where like the cave door opens up and then you see the city and you just like, it's like a gasp moment. Like, it's one of the things that I love about Resident Evil, and this is what I mean when I say that they're hilarious, because they know exactly what they're doing. They are going so deep into the trope that it becomes necessary for them to do, like they have to hit the trope. If they miss it, then they have failed. And it was the moment for it, right? It was like, yeah, here's the moment. Door opens, and we figure out that we've been tunneling our way to Raccoon City the whole time. And then the not Wesker dude, I don't know like where that guy's at just yet. Is Zeno, he's basically just like, welcome to Jurassic Park. It's like, yes, all right, yes. So to give you a more direct thing, I'm pretty sure the last big cinematic like moment that I was in, and then I ran around a little bit after this, but not much, was the motorcycle fight, the big old jump and then inevitable. Okay. So pretty far there, but I don't know. So if you've done the motorcycle fight,
then so. What it is I see that you're an RPD. Have you played as Grace again since you've gotten to the Raccoon Police Department?
Oh, no. It's been all Leon for a while now, and I expect that I'm getting very close to there being another Grace moment, but I have not gotten back to Grace yet.
All right.
I do know about, like, the clean facility, and there's some reveals about things like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
I did fight Plant 43, which was a fucking awesome reference between 43 in 2 and 40 and Plant 42 from 1. Like, yeah, so I did do that.
So you fought the big plant?
Was that after the motorcycle fight?
That's after the motorcycle fight is RPD. Like, you do the No, wait, I'm trying to think of when you ride. You ride the motorcycle from the, like, burnt-out streets of Raccoon City. And then that's what takes you into... So you've done the orphanage?
The orphanage. Yeah, it takes you to the orphanage, and I think the orphanage is...
And that's where the plant is.
That's where I
So then you played as Grace in... Well, I guess you didn't play as Grace. You played as Chloe in the orphanage. You've been the little girl.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I've been the little girl. Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought you meant aged Grace. Like, have I gone back to playing her in the present time? No. Yes, I played as the little girl. Is that supposed to be Grace?
No, I don't think it is.
Okay. Okay.
Because they refer to her as Chloe, so there's a chance that little girl, like Grace, became Grace from Chloe. But the fact that she's watching a video, like Zeno shows her a video of it, it does.
It's not like a memory.
Yeah, it's not like. I mean, she does have a lot of those, I'm remembering something, and then I'll remember something in the real world flashbacks, which I like. I'm okay with that style of storytelling. But it is a thing that happens. Okay, so you've played as the little girl. If you've beaten the plant, then yeah, or you've at least fought the plant, then yeah, that means that you've been to the orphanage as Leon. Our friend, you saw our friend again. He's gonna give it to you. Mr. X is gonna give it to you.
What a cathartic fucking fight. That's the other thing about this game that has been so good is it's really cathartic. Like when you want it to do something and it does, like I was saying before, it also feels so good and so earned. You know, like walking into the RPD, I want to see a montage of goofy flashbacks, and what do you get? You get Marv right there, right? Like it was perfect. Like the game is so good at giving you what you want and making it feel like you've earned it, and like this is actually like it's almost like a thank you. Like it's a really well made like referential game.
Oh yeah, it's a love letter. It's a love letter to the fans. I mean, the fact that Leon unlocks the gate that he locked 28 years ago, that right there, like, I was like, holy fucking shit. Like, that was a moment for me. I will be honest with you. And then, like, walking around in the RPD, like, that area does not need to be, like, that's one of the shortest areas of the game if you're speed running. But if you're there for the nostalgia, you're going everywhere. You're hitting the Star's office. It's cathartic. It is a release. Before we go further, the other question I was going to ask you is, I have 2 drinks with me. I have a Smithwicks and a Guinness. What drink do you want me to have accompany the video game portion of today's episode?
Oh, have yourself a Smithwicks, my friend.
Okay, let's kick it off with a Smithwicks. Excellent. So let's talk about Resident Evil Requiem speedrunning, and then we'll get to Ratcheteer, which is how you say that, right? I think that is because it's
Ratcheteer, right?
Well, it's Ratcheteer, so it could either be Ratcheteer or Ratcheteer. I think both pronunciations are probably correct.
Yeah, Ratcheteer just rolls off the tongue better, I feel, but whatever.
I don't know. Yes, I feel like I say it wrong.
We'll definitely talk about Ratcheteer DX, just to be clear.
Yes. We'll talk about that after we get this Resident Evil stuff. Will go quick. I just wanted to make sure that you had gotten to the orphanage. Spoilers for people for a game that is almost been out for a month. Not that means but there are going to be some spoilers for Resident Evil here, but they're mostly speed running related. So I just want to make sure that is. So on the leaderboard, they have any percent, full game, and no intro. The first thing, and we discussed this, is the fact that they tell you we don't want you to have to play the intro. Skip the intro. The intro is boring. The intro, everybody's going to do the same thing. Here's what you can set out. They've sent out, YouTube videos to runners. This is how many CP points you can have as Leon. And this is all for Insanity runs, because Insanity runs have to be New Game Plus. But in New Game Plus, when you play as Leon, we had talked about the Fitbit combat point tracker that you get once you get back to Raccoon City.
Can we talk about how amazing it is that they set up 2 different systems of upgrading because of the narrative, they needed, or rather could, set up 2 completely different upgrade systems that make complete sense narratively, with everything that goes on with Grace and the way that she's able to upgrade with infected blood. And then you have Leon, who needs to use these BSAA points or whatever the fuck they are.
I mean, what I do like about the BSAA points is the fact that the whole thing behind the BSAA and the Spencer Mansion incident that goes back to the first game is for Umbrella to test and demonstrate how effective their bioweapons are at combat. So demonstrating against these zombies that this type of zombie is killable, here's how you have to do it, and that getting you points that then translate into money is just so fucking corpo-minded, it's kind of disgusting.
It's perfect. Yeah, no, the game knows what it's doing.
The game knows what it's doing. It really does. And I love the blood stuff too. I really like that because Grace is in a laboratory, but not in the laboratory, right? The third act laboratory of all Resident Evil games. She is finding blood research, and that's allowing her to synthesize other things with the infected blood that she's collecting, like the stabilizers and the I guess it's just health, right? That's what the yellow ones are.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it is. The game's great. I really do. I have been saying it for a long time, and it is not become any less true, even with all the weird stuff going on with the speed runs, that this is my game of the year right now. In terms of just payoff as a fan of this game, only since 2018, right? I didn't finish a Resident Evil game until 2018, and now 8 years later, I was so invested in everything that they were putting down in this game. And that was after finding
because they
Village,
they laid the groundwork with
yeah.
with the re-releases and 7 and like they laid the groundwork to do something like this that was amazing. And I to be clear, we are basically on a high-speed train aiming straight for a Resident Evil 1 like remake, right? Like at this
They
point
announced it.
What yeah, and like I am so fucking excited. I can't even begin. I hope that they work in some of the magic they did with this one with kind of the different styles of gameplay type stuff, but also it's going to be such an amazing project. Even if it is a complete and utter disaster, it will still be amazing to watch because so far everything they've done has been such a like knock out of the park. I cannot imagine that it's going to be anything but that. But I am happy to whenever it comes out, I am happy to purchase.
Yeah, that one they confirmed that they are rebuilding Resident Evil 1 in the RE engine, which is exciting. Reach for the Moon engine. That they are working on it. But that's probably not coming out. They're like, but that's like 2029, 2030. Don't hold your breath for Resident Evil 1 remake. But in the meantime, do you know the other 3 games that they have confirmed they are like actively working on in the series?
They were looking at Veronica for a while, weren't they? Code
Veronica is more than likely going to be the next one that releases. Code Veronica, they've talked about we're real far along in it, and we wanted to make sure this one came out before we did it. So Code Veronica 0, Resident Evil 0 is pretty far along in production.
Such a wild one. Yeah,
which is
I actually really like 0. 0 has some really cool set pieces. The guy in it, I don't think you ever hear from again. So I wonder if they're going to try and do anything with that character. If they're going to release 0, like I wonder if Resident Evil 10 somewhere in the in-between or after has him come back or something.
Right.
Because I don't even think you find out that he like died. I think you just don't hear about him anymore.
No, it's just like this set everything up and you do not know what happened to these people. Maybe it comes back in one of the side games.
Well, Rebecca.
Yeah. And Rebecca.
Yeah, you know about Rebecca because she ends up at the mansion, right? But yeah, it's
right. So that one. So it's Veronica 0 and 5. Resident Evil 5. They are working on. I think that one's less farther along. Has less done on it than either Veronica or 0. Veronica or 0.
That's gonna be weird.
Yeah. Yes, it is gonna be weird. The fact that they're remaking and like talking about a remake of 5. A lot of people are like, "Oh my god, how are you going to do that? Like, what are you going to do with that game?"
If they lean into the Resident Evil 2 over the shoulder, right? Because 2 was all over the shoulder, wasn't it? The remake.
2 was the remake was a third-person view the entire game.
Yeah. So like if you stick to that kind of concept, but make the world more connected, and because the thing about 5 is the game loop on it is just so inherently different from any other like Resident Evil. So like it's not just like they need to tidy up the graphics, maybe rewrite some of the dialogue or something like that. Like they have to fundamentally change how that game plays. And like I guess they've kind of done that in certain ways with like the whole first person viewing stuff. I don't know, man. Yeah. This is so weird.
I mean, I don't know. I want it to still be co-op, right? Resident Evil 5 is the co-op one as far as I'm concerned with Chris and Shiva. So like I would like I want to do it co-op but in the RE engine. Like that interests me. Also, the same thing that you just talked about where like it's so inherently different. Do they remake Resident Evil 6, or is that one that they just leave alone? Are they going to remake all of the mainline games, but not Resident Evil 6?
I think they inevitably go after 6, and I have to say that one of the biggest criticisms that 6 got was that it had a very disjointed narrative because you were constantly switching between characters, and they have just proven with Requiem that they can actually balance a story like that pretty well if they put their mind to it. So I think actually revisiting 6 is actually a really interesting idea after everything that we see in Requiem, and that whole dual narrative working extremely well.
Well, I mean, I agree with you. That is the only one I know that they're not actively working on. They've said
because that's probably, if that comes out, I would expect that to be something like a 2035 type shit. Like, this is like it's the only one left. Like, everybody's waiting for it at this point. Even it's that book in the series that you buy because you're a completionist, not because you ever want to read it again.
It's the 5th book in the Sword of Truth series, which is kind of my favorite book because of how different it is from the other ones. I can't name it. Soul of the Flame, I think is the name of that one. It's got flame in the title. But yes, honestly, yeah. And with everything they have coming, they would be foolish. Capcom would be idiots if they ever released more than one Resident Evil remake in a year. Right? So between the fact that we know that Veronica and Zero are both apparently close to finished, based on everything that we've heard about those games. And these, like, you got to be in like the community. Like, this is like back corner talk. I imagine we'll see one of those in 27, one of those in 28, 29. We probably see 5. So then either we see RE1's remake in 30, which again, someone at Capcom confirmed we're not going to see it until 2030 this week. Like, that was an article that released this week. So that when it comes to 6, again, it's not going to happen before 2030. And honestly, I'd be surprised if it happened before we get a Resident Evil 10. I just don't see that.
Yeah, the 6 remake.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Like I said, that's going to be so far down the line. It's going to be so at the end of the bottom of the barrel. It's going to be like the last thing that it's almost going to be like everybody's going to think they forgot about it, right? There's going to be conversations about it never happening. And then it will, and people will have probably mixed emotions to it again, just like they did last time. Because I just think the game I think that there's a lot more wrong with it than just the narrative style. I think that there was also just some wild stuff in the narrative. But to be fair, that's the same criticisms I have against 5, and they seem to be happy going back to that too. So, like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they do.
And we'll see how 5 lands, because I think that, like, Veronica and Zero, because of their console exclusivity, will have new fans who might have never played them before. Like, this is my first time with them. 5, if 5 is dead on arrival, like, if an RE5 remake is dead on arrival, why would they pursue 6? Other than the fact, like, we haven't done it yet. So, like, you need to consider that everything is a business choice at the end of the day. Interesting that I say that, because that's kind of something we're going to talk about with Ratcheteer. So let's just answer some of the weirdness about Resident Evil 9 speedrunning, Resident Evil Requiem speedrunning, and that is the fact that there is a split in the categories between running it with the full intro, so in the Renwood Hotel and then Leon in the streets of Renwood City, or skipping it. And if you skip the intro, you start from after Grace has collected the lighter and that small bottle, and the objective is to get the fuse. You can start as far away from the save typewriter as you can, like, still interact with it. And then you start from there. That's where you start a run from, if you're skipping the intro. And that's across all difficulties. Casual, standard, modern, standard, classic, and insanity. That is skipping the intro, is starting from there. Which is crazy to me. Like, I'm not lying when I say that seems insane to me. And the main reason seems to be that it's just, like, boring to have to continually do the intro. It is boring to have to do the intro. And if you had to do the intro, it would lead to too many resets of runs. I'm sorry, that's fucking speed running, right? We don't skip 1-1 in Super Mario Brothers because it has been analyzed down to perfection. You have to actually execute that perfection to start the run.
Right.
Like, that's just crazy to me. And then there is, I gotta find the category rules. Orphanage skip mod. The orphanage skip mod is permitted for the no intro category only. Please use the provided mod in the resource section of Speedrun of SRC and install via Fluffy as you normally would. Runners that choose not to use this mod will have their time in the orphanage deducted from their run regardless to ensure fair competition. That is fucking insane to me.
So if you're in the category where you're skipping the intro, then they're not going to count your orphanage run no matter what, so you might as well install this mod, is essentially what it's saying?
Is essentially what they're saying, yeah.
Well, the arbitrary choice to say, like, this is what counts and this is what doesn't, as far as, like, gameplay goes, is a wild stance to take. Like, I don't understand that at all. I thought we at least all agreed upon the idea that, like, as a speedrunner, you play the game, but apparently you don't. You don't even do that.
And it's a lot of people that are like, oh, well, why don't we skip this part? Why do we do the part on the bike? Right? Why don't we skip that part as well? Because that's pretty much the same every time. Right? Or why don't we just do a mod that skips to the end, right? And it's whoever's computer is fastest. Like, it's such a slippery slope to say we are eliminating parts of this game that we deem boring from this speedrun.
Yeah.
Like, it...
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty steep, slippery slope, especially like when your qualifier is something so, like, subjective.
Yeah. Also, they allow, now this is something that like personally bothers me. They'll allow you to use like costume or audio mods. Costume mods and weapon mods are allowed for playable characters within reason. Audio mods are not allowed except for these enemy mods: Arnold dogs, kendo spiders, MJ lickers. List subject to change. Costume mods must not change the size, shape of the hitbox of your character. No nudity at all, including genitalia of any kind. It will be mod discretion if a costume mod is considered overtly obscene, at which point the run will be rejected. Gun mods that change the gun itself, e.g. built-in scope, etc., will result in run rejections. That seems insane to me. Like there's supposed to be
part
like
of it, all of it,
all of it. Like the audio stuff doesn't bother me, right? Like the dogs going like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you, Leon," or like the kendo spider, like they like make kendo noises, and the lickers go ee hee hee while they're like crawling around instead of their like growl. Like audio mods don't bother me, but like costume mods, you never fucking know what's going on underneath those, right? Like you could hide anything in a mod. And that just seems like you're asking for problems.
In theory.
Yeah.
Well, in theory, the runs are going to be watched by somebody who has a keen enough eye to be able to see, like, oh, that person is not getting hit where they should be. And, like, that's a crazy amount of detail, but, you know, as somebody that just rewatched King of Kong this past weekend, like, that's what these guys get into. They sit down and they watch these tapes, and sometimes they rewatch and then rewatch them again. And they analyze that exact kind of shit. So, like, I get what you're saying. Like at some point, once you start allowing like visual mods into the picture, pardon the pun, like it completely, like you completely lose a definitive answer, right? Like, and that sucks, right? Like, why are you allowing that? The audio mods is an interesting one because I could see the benefit of creating a new audio file for a type of creature, especially in a game like this where they're not always obvious at first and things like that. So if you could create some type of audio mod for them that would make them a little bit more easy to spot and ready to prepare for and stuff like that. Like, it's not fundamentally changing how the enemy works. It just kind of changes how you can react to it, which I think is enough to which I think is enough to ban it, like to say like you can't do this, because some people are going to have the ability to do that sort of thing and some people aren't, right? So don't allow that. I don't understand why there's certain ones that are allowed. Like if you're going to start putting rules like this in place, where it's so much easier to just say no audio mods, right? It's an understandable line that we can all get behind, no audio mods. To say these audio mods are allowed, but the rest of them are not. It's like, what? Why? What is like? It's such a weird, arbitrary choice for you to make.
Yeah, I don't know. It is like and it's all arbitrary, right? Because it's all decided by the community. They have votes and things like that. But then it is the wrinkle that was discovered the day that the leaderboards finally opened that is the craziest thing to me. Because straight up, any percent should include everybody's calling it an infinite ammo glitch, but it's actually worse than that. And when I say worse than that, I mean in terms of like how it breaks the game. Because it's not just now suddenly all of my pistol ammo, pistol ammo, pistol is the word I wanted. That was a weird phrase. All of my pistol ammo is now ammo for the Requiem, which on its own would be crazy. Because the Requiem ammo is so sparse in the game. To suddenly have 50 Requiem bullets would be insane. It is also the fact that you get the clip size of the pistol that you use in order to replace, in order to like swap the ammo values. Yeah,
it's amazing.
So the Requiem, which is a 5-shooter, if you use like a 15 like magazine count pistol with it, you have 15 Requiem shots before you have to reload. And where this really comes in, here is a bit of a spoiler for you, and it's a spoiler for anybody. The shotgun that you're using, actually, yeah, it's not going to be, because we're referencing something that only we have access to. The shotgun that you were using in the video you sent, where you found the Mr. Raccoon base, that shotgun with the teddy bear charm is the strongest gun in the game.
The one that does like the mid-range change on it? Am I remembering that right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. It makes it so that like shotguns are more effective from mid-range, but weirdly less effective at close range. That charm is broken. That charm makes that specific shotgun do more damage than the Requiem pistol.
I knew it was the kicker because, like, I think that's exactly what I used against the big boy, and it was like 3 shots and he'd go down. I'd run over and do a melee on him, and then I'd run away for a little bit. 3 shots, he'd go down, and I was like, "You're not." I was like, "You're either losing it or Leon is really kicking ass."
Right? Like, yeah, who knows? But it's what it is that teddy bear charm with that specific shotgun makes it the strongest gun in the game. So what people do is that before there was a decision made, and by all accounts, this mod has this glitch, because it's a glitch that exists within the game, has been banned from runs, which is another crazy thing, because this is something that exists in the game, requires no modification, unlike the orphanage skip, but like we're saying, no, you can't use it if you want your run to be considered valid. Honestly, using this glitch should be the new any percent route, and then there could be any percent glitchless. That's how speedrun leaderboards evolve. Right?
Yeah, I don't understand. I just don't understand. Like, you can't say, because the reasoning, approaching this from the other direction, right? If I were to say, like, I think you should ban it because what it does is it kind of ruins the mechanical narrative of what you're doing, right? Because, like, there's a lot of decisions you end up making for the choice to, I'm going to go for blood because I want to be able to upgrade my shit. But, or like, I'm going to go for those antique coins because I want to be able to buy that thing, right? Like, and so you're making a tactical decision based on the fact that you do need those items. If you're able to negate that in some way, it changes the way that you play the game, right? So I would rather that not be allowed. But to be honest, that's the same exact conversation I would be having about skipping the beginning in the orphanage. Is like, no, you shouldn't be doing that because like it's not in the spirit of the way the game is asking to be played, right? I want to see somebody who can speed run a game on the game's level. I don't want to see somebody who can beat a game into submission. That's not fun for me. And I know it is fun for some people, but that's not what I'm looking for. And I guess this is why I'm not a huge speedrun watcher. Like it's just not a big thing for me.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, I'm also fine with having different categories. Then everybody gets happy. You would watch any percent like full game runs. You would watch it where we're going through the Renwood Hotel. When we get to the orphanage, the speedrunner has to perform that flawlessly to not lose time there. That's what you would be interested in. Honestly, that's what I would be interested in. Because it is fun, especially with the Resident Evil games, to see this like perfect execution of the most like prepared route through the game. Right?
Well, and I'm even okay with doing like crazy ass runs like you eventually get to do in all of these where you have the rocket launcher the whole time. You know what I mean? Like I'm even cool with the idea of there being rocket launcher runs or like you were saying like Requiem glitch runs. Like I would even be interested in those. It's you know what it is? It comes back to the thing that I say all the fucking time. Clarity. I just wish that there was some clarity on like what the rules were, like some transparency in how you're making the decisions. Because I don't mind that there is a version where people are skipping basically what starting to feel a lot like all of the parts where women are involved, but we're not going to have that conversation just yet. But like, yeah, like we could do all of the crazy boring stuff that Leon does, but if it's crazy boring stuff with the girl, then no. Just like, okay, all right. Yeah, it's just like, I want to know why or where these decisions are coming from. It's not obvious, you know. Like I don't know if maybe it's some arrogance on their part, assuming that everybody feels the same way they do about like this sort of thing. But like we don't. Like there are people playing this game that feel very differently than you.
Well, I mean, the really crazy thing is that I've based almost everything I know about this off of the speedruns.com like board. Where speedrun.com, Resident Evil Requiem, you can hit the rules, and that's where it shows, like, this is the stuff we need. And then the game rules, like, every run, these are what's good. And then the category rules that say, for this is what's required. I can read those. But if a decision has been made, whether or not to use the ammo swap glitch, like, that is, you have to be in the Discord to know that. Which I think is just crazy. Also, like your camera, whether it's first person, third person for the whole game, or both, that is a secondary thing, like factor as to how the leaderboards can be filtered out. Which is also insane, right? Like that should be two separate categories, not any percent PC, but the current fastest runner as of this recording is a 1:31:17. And he did first person / both. Should probably just say both, right? Like, and that means that the person who has a 1 hour 40 minute on PC who did it all third person, he's the fastest person. Ghost Recon 7862. He's the fastest person who beat Resident Evil Requiem in third person. I don't care that there are 16 people ahead of him who did first person both. Like, he did it that way. And that's that means something to me as somebody watching it. But I want to say on the ammo swap glitch, and then we're going to get to the other stuff that we want to talk about. This is exciting. This is exactly the type of conversation I wanted to have. And as somebody who doesn't watch speedrunning, it's really interesting to hear how you feel about these choices, Sejohn. So I thank you for that. But that ammo swap, so you get the machine guns, right? You get submachine guns along the same time you get that shotgun. And if you ammo swap it, not only can you have like upwards of 180 bullets for that shotgun, it can be 40 shots before you're forced to reload a shotgun. Which the whole thing about shotguns is that you have like maximum 8 shots before you're forced to reload in the game. Like, I understand why people are like, we're probably going to outlaw this glitch. But to just say we're not going to let anybody use it and not say we'll create a specific category where you can use it, like, that just seems so reductive. There's also a way to kill Hunk. Not like everybody's calling him Hunk, but he's just the BSAA soldier that you eventually fight in the game. Like, they found a way to one-hit kill that character, and they want to ban that. Even though it's just, like, really just difficult to execute. It doesn't require, like, any sort of insane setup or anything like that. It's just, like, a frame-perfect execution. So they're like, I think we're gonna... This feels like too much of a glitch, so we're not gonna allow it. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But yeah, imagine having that shotgun that you blew away. I watched somebody testing the glitch for viability. He killed Mr. X with that shotgun with the bear charm in 36 shots to the heart. And that meant he didn't have to reload once in that fight. That's crazy. Like, that's
yeah, I mean, especially because, like, he gives you time. Like, it's a really good boss fight. He gives you time to take shots at him too. It's not like it's hard to, like, get set up, especially if you do the parry right, which I was kind of doing, but we're not going to talk about that.
I do love the parry in this game. And once you finish it, we can talk a little bit deeper about things that happen. But yes, so that's Resident Evil Requiem. If you want to contact us or you want any clarification on anything that we said, just let us know. We can readdress it in next week's episode. But let's talk about Ratcheteer. Ratcheteer DX, as Sejohn said. And we're going to get a little somber right now. We've been, like, kind of real happy talking about Resident Evil Requiem. I want to get somber because Ratcheteer DX represents something that we are seeing in the indie game space right now that I'm actually a huge fan of. And that is Game Boy Color style indie games where you're playing a game and it's like, this is like, specifically Ratcheteer is very similar to the Link's Awakening DX remake that came out alongside the Game Boy Color. And
it reminded me a lot of the Oracle games too, the Oracle of Season, Oracle of Ages games, which I've weirdly been playing a ton of lately.
Or Quest for Camelot. Did you ever play the Quest for Camelot game on Game Boy Color? Because let me tell you,
you asked me about that because that's on the Nintendo Online, right?
Yeah, it is on the Nintendo Online. It's one of the best Zelda games you've never played. I have to be honest with you. Right up there with Goof Troop. Goof Troop and Quest for Camelot are two of the best Zelda games that you have never played.
Dude, have you played the Goof Troop add-on on the Disney Afternoon? I got it. It's so much fun.
I have not played. I haven't downloaded it yet or played it. I'm excited to, but I have too many games to play. I have to finish Mario.
I also forgot how fucking good Darkwing Duck is as a game.
Such a good game.
Sorry, anyway.
I really wish that the TurboGrafx Darkwing Duck game were included in the Disney Afternoon collection, because it's like a for real game. Not that Mega Man by way of Darkwing Duck is not a real game, but that TurboGrafx one, if you haven't played it, it is worth a shot because he's beautiful. The sprite work on Darkwing is just so good. Yeah.
You know what weirdly is also in that package that the Nintendo specific one has Bonkers, and I didn't really have much memory of that game. Like, I remembered, I think we probably rented it once because it was Bonkers, right? But we didn't really get into it. But it is a blast of a little game now that I'm actually able to, like, understand the mechanics. It's really interesting because it has the same dash mechanic that Buster Bust Loose uses, and I don't know if it's like the same creators or something, but it was a nice surprise because I it came along with the Nintendo version, so I was like, well, yeah, I mean, let's play it, and I actually ended up spending like a good 2 hours with it. It was a good time.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. That makes me very happy. I'm not going to lie to you, because Bonkers, I remember the Friday night where after dinner we stopped at the rental store. I rented Bonkers, and I beat Bonkers 4 times that evening. Right? Something about a Capcom game, I will just play it again as soon as I finish.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Ratcheteer is... There are a lot of games that are like this, and I wish I could mention more. But the one that is most important is Mina the Hollower. The next game from Yacht Club Games, they brought us Shovel Knight and all of its various spin-off games. They also published Mecha Skull Cyber Shadow, which, if you're not aware of how into Cyber Shadow I am, you must be a new listener. Welcome to the Say Report. But now we have Mina the Hollower, a game that was supposed to release last Halloween. It was supposed to come out Halloween of 2025. And then like a week beforehand, they said, no, we're going to delay it. Now, I don't mind a game being delayed, right? Miyamoto, what he said or what he's credited with saying with that, like, a delayed game is delayed, a bad game is bad forever, right?
Mm-hmm. Like, right, exactly, yeah.
Like, oh, you're sad that the game was delayed, but would you rather play like a broken, unplayable mess? Now, granted, he said that before we lived in the generation patch that we live in now, where a broken game can be fixed in like after the fact, looking at something like No Man's Sky or Fallout 76. The Fallout 76, it's still like, like it's half and half with people who are like, that game's great now. And some people are like, no, it's still not good. It's still not what I wanted. Just to be honest about it, since I bring it up. But one of the reasons that they cited for delaying Mina the Hollower, I think part of it was that they didn't want to weirdly position themselves as competing with Silksong. Silksong fucked up a lot of late 2025 releases in just so many ways, in ways that we do not fully understand. It was
said at the time, you know, people were just a little pissed.
Yeah, people were pissed that this game with so much content was only $20, and what is it going to mean for the industry?
Well, and specifically, what we heard from the industry side was they were upset that they felt like they were given no warning because it was a little bit of a stealth drop.
Oh, it was a stealth drop.
Yeah. So like there was just also that whole attitude of like, if we had known, like we would have made different business decisions, which is, you know, fair, but also how business works. So like the amount of people that get like really weirdly shitty about it, I don't know. It's from an artist perspective, I can totally see like the bummer moment where you see like your project is about to get buried because of this thing, and that sucks. And like I really do feel for those people, and I think that there's been a lot of really cool creative ways in which people have supported the people that kind of ran into that issue, and all for that, like do that shit. But like when it comes to like companies, you know, larger than say 100 people who start complaining about Hollow Knight, I'm just like, get over it. You have the ability to make decisions. You can push your game back if you need to.
Yeah. So what Yacht Club has said is that their existence as a company is tied very heavily to the success of Mina the Hollower. Now that is obviously saying the quiet part out loud. Like that is not the type of thing that you want to say. Like, obviously, it means that I'm going to buy it when it releases. I am interested in Mina the Hollower. But then, when I see a game like Ratcheteer DX, and this was Sunday morning, just like idly scrolling through Twitch before I got out of bed, I see somebody playing it, and I'm like, wow, this looks really good. Like, this has, like, all sorts of different, like, weapons to move, and, like, I like these puzzles. Like, I'm seeing them, and, like, they're very intuitive, and I haven't even played the game, but, like, my mind is already, like, formulating ideas. Like, I was excited about it. So then when the Oscars were on, remember that the Oscars happened, Sejohn? I don't know if we're going to talk about them that much.
I mean, you know, good on everybody that won. There was some really weird stuff with Paul Thomas Anderson, not because of anything that he actually did at the Oscars, but like the next day somebody put out a whole bunch of bullshit about him like thanking Charlie Kirk in his Oscar speech and shit like that. I don't know. It got me for a second. I was like, he did what now? But you know, after a little bit of research with it, I realized it was not true. It was definitely a moment.
Yeah. I don't know. I watched the whole thing. We let it play for an hour, and then we were able to fast forward through and watch the whole thing. The weirdest thing to me was the tie, right? I don't remember ever seeing a tie at the Oscars, and I like don't know how that works. Like there should be a tiebreaker. There should not be a tie for an Oscar statue. Is just how I feel about that. But they have it in the rules, right? But again, like, I never even knew it was a possibility until it happened. So where's the transparency on that? But for the Oscars, right, because I'm not that into award shows anymore, I downloaded Ratcheteer and I played through it. I got through 3 dungeons in the time that the Oscars were on. So that's about like an hour a dungeon, give or take, right? Because we were fast forwarding and everything.
Are you including like the electrical plant and the power plant as dungeons?
Well,
the power plant and the water plant, I mean.
Yeah, those are dungeons. Those are what the dungeons are, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, so I played for about an hour, and I've gotten through those 2. I've just gotten finished in the other one. I found myself in the cavern, the deep caverns or whatever they're called. So I found my mentor. I just found my mentor. Nice. That's what it is.
Very cool. Yeah, no, that's excellent. So I mean, I'm not gonna really spoil the game or anything like that, but the reason why Yacht Club Games, and again, this is a broad generalization by me, but there's a lot of evidence to support it. But the reason why Yacht Club Games became Yacht Club Games is that Shovel Knight hit at the beginning of something. Shovel Knight kicked something off. Right? Like the idea of this like retro 8-bit style platformer that borrows from all the platformers that we loved before, it being a Kickstarter game and like promise of other game modes coming on down the line. Like it was the catalyst that started something. And that's why...
Well, and remember, this is in contrast to what had come before. Like, the indie game space was still relatively young, but one of the biggest things that it was known for, one of the easiest ways to basically identify an indie game, was the art, right? Yeah. And it was, people were going all out with their art. Go back and look at some of the early stuff like Braid, Limbo, right? Even Super Meat Boy, right? There is a very specific type of art on display, but it is definitely part of that world, right? That Super Meat Boy is not Super Meat Boy without like its art style aesthetic, and like there are really cute like 8-bit versions of him throughout the game, but there is a definitive, what's his name, Edward McMullen look to that, right? Yeah. I think that's the guy's name.
I think you're right.
So like the indie game space was dominated by games that didn't even look like games, right? And that was part of the appeal for a lot of people. But you had something like Shovel Knight come along where it said, yeah, but you know what also looked really good? You know, this old style. And they brought that out, and there was a lot of people that were just like on board for that. You're not wrong.
Yeah. And I think it's why it saw the success that it saw. And that's the thing. The issue that I'm seeing with Mina the Hollower, the game that they have said out loud, if this fails, Yacht Club Games will shutter. We will no longer be a company. Is that it's not the new kid in town anymore. There are so many games releasing now that saw Mina the Hollower, like back when it was a Kickstarter. Can you look up while I do this little rant when the Mina the Hollower Kickstarter kicked off? Because I think it was like 3-4 years ago. But it was one of those situations where the Mina the Hollower Kickstarter happened, and people saw that there was a desire from people in the industry to back a game that was doing basically Game Boy Color level graphics. Which, if we really want to be like dicks about it, Game Boy Color, for all intents and purposes, was Nintendo Entertainment System Plus. That's why on Game Boy Color we saw so many remakes of Nintendo Entertainment System games, right? It was, we can do 8-bit games and they have color now. This is what we're doing. This is the aesthetic.
February of 2022, the Kickstarter kicks off and it ends up raising $1.2 million.
$1.2 million. That's kind of impressive.
From only 20,000 or so baggers, which is crazy. But anyway.
Yeah. So I think that like to back it though was like what it would cost to buy the game. Like, so that's part of it. So that kind of makes sense. It's not like those 20,000 people had to pay like the $100 producers thing or like, yeah. Like they built in the cost of the game, I think, to that. Regardless, I don't do Kickstarter anymore. I don't fuck with that. I'm over it. So I did not Kickstarter Meaning of the Hollower. Video games are going to come out eventually, and if they do, I will pay with them at that time, or they don't come out because they were Kickstarted, and I'm not somebody who's disappointed, right? It's sort of about self-preservation, Sejohn. But yeah, so people saw that this is what was coming down the lane, and a lot of games started being developed by indie developers that looked like Game Boy Color games, not wanting to be behind the 8-ball if and when Meaning of the Hollow were released, and we saw that these are the types of games that people want to play now, right? There's a reason why Metroidvania is action adventure exploration games are what we see in so many indie games, because we see that people will play them, right? People really enjoy an action exploration game, an adventure exploration game.
Yeah.
Metroidvania is just so succinct, but also I know that it doesn't mean anything to people who are not in the space. So I get it. But yeah, like there's a reason why there's a dearth of games that are the adventure exploration style out there. I'm going to try to make it work, Sejohn, and it might not, but Konami started it. And we're seeing a lot of these games, and they're releasing, so that by the time that Meaning of the Hollower comes out, aside from its pedigree as being from Yacht Club Games, it's just going to look like another one of these games in a sea of them. And that makes me a little bit nervous, because you play something like Ratcheteer, and I mean, did you enjoy your time with it? Is what I'm going to ask.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to go back to it. Yeah, so I didn't see that I had the download until like midnight last night, right? Mm-hmm. So I just downloaded it, and I figured I would hop into it just for a second just to see. I didn't even really know what kind of game it was. And next thing I knew, it was an hour later, and I had gone through 2 dungeons, and I was like, okay, I need to find a stopping point. And then when you run into the I don't know, bandits or whatever they are, like the basically unfrozen people that kidnapped your mentor. That was when I was like, this feels like this is a good narrative point for me to put a pause on things.
Yeah, no, and I get it. I mean, I went through that, and then the next one, I'm like, I need to take a break, because I will just keep playing this, and I need to take a break. It is good. It's engaging. It's fun. The collectibles are really cool. Have you found any of the rune stones, Sejohn? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like whole thing.
And I found a hermit, so that's a really interesting mechanic.
Yeah. The game has got just so much going on for just this little indie game that I think it released last week. I don't know when Ratcheteer came out, but it got
recently though.
It was this month. Let's see, Ratcheteer DX.
Can pull it right up because I got it right here.
Oh, it's on Nintendo Switch too. Like I bought it on Steam, but where it released on March 5th.
There's also a free demo.
Yeah. So give it a try, but like you use a wrench sword and things like that. And unlike sort of like the Link's Awakening remake that came out on Nintendo Switch, rather than having to switch between all of your items, we have modern controllers with like upwards of 8 buttons. So like you have a dedicated jump button once you get the item that allows you to jump. You have a dedicated thing for your sword swing or for
you don't have to keep menuing to like change out items.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin some of the other cool items that you get for Sejohn or for anybody who's listening. But I am going to spoil one small part of this game. And Sejohn, I'm sending it to you. I apologize to everybody who's in the Discord. I'm not going to put this into our supplemental materials. And when you hear what it is, I think you'll understand why I'm keeping it a little bit more secret. But I do want Sejohn to see it, because this was awesome. This happened to me Friday morning. I also saw all my doctors this week. Happy to say that I'm healthier than I was the last time I saw my doctors in September, which is nice to hear, right? It's a nice thing to find out. But between doctor's appointments, I finished the game on Friday. And when you beat the game, if you let the credits roll, at the end, there's a QR code that brings you to the page that I just sent you, Sejohn.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know if this is going to continue, but this made me feel so much the way I did the first time I read The Princess Bride, where it's like, send us a self-addressed stamped envelope if you want to get the reunion scene that I wrote, but that the estate of Morgenstern would not let me include in the book you're holding, that I had to do it. I immediately did the instructions on this. So when you beat the game, congratulations on finishing Ratcheteer DX. If you'd like a small memento from us, please send us a self-addressed stamped envelope and we'll use it to mail you something little and fun. Wondering what a SASE is? Read on. And it's got like how to do it, and I don't know, it does say that it's while supplies last. So I don't know if completing this game 15 days after release means that I'm going to be someone who did it. I don't know if people are scanning random QR codes in 2026. But I do like, right? The thing that I do like is that you have to include your like Steam, Switch, Mac App Store like name so that they can confirm, they reserve the right to check your profile and confirm that you actually finished the game. In case you like data mined the site, or like I did with Sejohn, I sent it to you, or like a friend shared it with you. But this type of interaction, right, is so fucking cool from indie games. And I have to be honest with you, I've never gotten anything like that from Yacht Club, right? I mean, that's not strictly true, because I did get to meet with Mecha Skull at PAX East when I tore apart the demo of Cyber Shadow. That is a thing that happened to me. But again, they only published that game. They were not, like, Mecha Skull did all the work on that game himself, except for the music. Like, Yacht Club were the publishers of that game. So for him being like, I want to meet with this person who just did things in my game that I didn't think he would be able to do, that wasn't Yacht Club. That I've always attributed to Mecha Skull wanting to sit down and be like, how'd you break my game?
I mean, the thing
first
is
time
that
you played it.
They didn't have to necessarily when the early days were going around. You know, there was so much more goodwill at the time towards indie developers, whereas now, you know, not by any fault of their own, but like indie development has kind of almost become the more standard development cycle these days for gaming. You know, like AAA games exist for sure, but it's fewer and fewer and fewer companies are doing those. And so like you have to do something as an indie developer to stand out from the rest of everybody else. So like good on them, the guys for Ratcheteer, like doing this, because like it is a great thing. But I don't know if I would necessarily hold it against anybody who has not done something like this yet, because like I don't think that the space needed it until recently. You know, I think like over the last few years, I think that more and more companies have gotten into this indie space, and so now it does really mean you've got to do more to differentiate yourself from each other. But because the other thing is that, as you pointed out, like the art style is going for such a specific look, it's going to be real easy for people to just start assuming that certain games are made by the certain people and stuff. So you want to make sure that you are remembered.
Yes, and that's exactly what this is. The game was great already. I stumbled into the end of the game. Like, I have not 100% Ratcheteer at the time of it. I am telling all of the people that I know through my Zelda connections to give this game a try. I mean, I bought it for you, and honestly, I bought it for you because I'm like, oh, it's still on sale, and I think that I want Sejohn to play it. I want to see how he enjoys it. We can talk about it on the show, and we'll address it again. Like, I'll talk about this more after you've completed the game, because I'd like to see if you have the same warm and fuzzies after you're done with it. But after beating the game, after having the amount of fun that I had with it, for this to be like a tertiary reward for completing the game, it felt really cool. It made me feel like a kid again. And that is something...
it feels like an old Nintendo Power what's the word I'm looking for? Contest, you know, like when they would do those kinds of things.
Take
like,
a picture of yourself.
A lot of them were like art contests. Like
net.
I think that's what Game Informer did for years was the art contest, right?
Yeah. Take a picture of you fighting the war mech in Final Fantasy, and you'll get a chance to have your name in a Nintendo game.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Like random shit like that.
Random things like that. Like, this really triggered a spot of nostalgia in my brain that was long dormant. Like, going back to it. And I really liked it. And like, I was going to talk about Ratcheteer anyway. I had purchased that game for Sejohn legitimately with 3 seconds left on the clock for me to get the like release day 10% off the game, right? It's only a $12.99 game. But like I went to like see, and I'm like, this is only available for 50 more seconds, and I'm like, well, now it becomes a speed run to see if I can buy this for Sejohn at $10. And I was happy to make it
skip
go
the orphanage scene in that case then.
What? What'd you say?
Skip the orphanage scene in that
you
case.
Fucking ass. I love you, Siege. I really do. But yeah, so I got it for you. You got to play it. You enjoyed it. I love it. I think that like all of the things that it uses, it's so unique. You know what it actually feels a little bit like to me? Did you ever play Chrysalis?
No.
Oh, God. Play the Game Boy Color version of Chrysalis because it has a better save system. But the NES game is also incredible. It even has a randomizer. Like, the game is so beloved that it has a randomizer. It is another Zelda-style game, but I wouldn't even say that it's like one of the best Zeldas you've never played because it does things that are so unique compared to what The Legend of Zelda was doing on the Nintendo Entertainment System that, like, I love that game. And you know who did it? SNK did it. The, like, Neo Geo guys. It's one of their, like, built and published games. Play Chrysalis. Because, like, Ratcheteer has such a feeling of Chrysalis. And I don't want to say anything more than that, because I want you to experience the world of Chrysalis. But, like, if you're enjoying Ratcheteer, if you're liking the world of it, I highly recommend Chrysalis. And
I think that that's where the game is really excelling for me so far. As somebody that is not like super in the know in the retro space or indie space, like this is just kind of like this game is either going to hook me or it's not, right? There's not like a specific reason I'm coming to this game other than you sent it my way and it looked interesting. So the game is kind of really going to have to survive on its own merit with me, right? And right now it's definitely doing well in that battle because the story is really cool, like in the way that you kind of slowly learn about things. I've been reading a lot of the like books as I go into rooms and stuff like that, and that's really cool to like learn about the world before and what has caused what it looks like now. And like also, you learn some good helpful tips about how to get around, like gophers and need to be in the dark in order to move and shit like that. And so there is a really cool style to the game letting you kind of figure shit out on your own. And I often get really kind of tense with that because I get so worried about, like not being able to find the right thing I need before I get got, right? But the game is also super forgiving when it comes to health and things like that. Health, there's not only plentiful health everywhere you go, it respawns. Like, almost guaranteed respawns on just a screen change. It's so like there's almost no risk, right? Like it does that really good thing that hardcore like platforming or like level design like really needs to do for me as a player, and that's be forgiving enough. And so like it wants you to try things, it wants you to explore, because one of the other cool things about it, when you said before about it not being actually on the Game Boy, so it actually has things like a full use of controller, that means that it also has a wider range of motion. So like it's not just you can move in this straight line, but you can actually jump at a pretty decent angle, or you can even, when you bounce yourself in different directions and stuff. So like there's also a little bit of figuring out like kind of how to move around, because it's not just like a grid like that you move around on like the Zelda games were at that time.
Yeah. It's more Star Tropics 2 than Star Tropics Which put them up, all my Star Tropics fans in the
There's like a little bit of like slip to the guy too, right? Like sometimes he lands on a platform and he seems okay, and then all of a sudden, next thing I know, I'm falling, and it's like, okay, so I need to account for like slippage when he lands and things. Yeah. It's not an easy game, but it is forgiving enough that it feels like a good time.
Yeah, and it's not one of those games where you like lose all of your progress should you die, because that slipperiness, there's some like real good precision platforming in what is a top-down view game, and you don't see a lot of that, right? Like Link's Awakening is the first Zelda game that lets you jump in the top-down world, and that rocks feather. Sometimes I got real mad at it, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Well, because there'd be a style of jump there'd be like a length of jump that you've made 1,000 times, and then for some reason he just couldn't make it that time. And like I said, it's not that it doesn't happen in Ratcheteer, but the game is forgiving enough that like you just get back up and try again.
Right. But I will admit, a couple of those jump sections are where I did get game over. And I wasn't mad at the game. I never got it. Even in a game where like he's a little bit slippery and like there's some precision required, I never was blaming the game. I was always blaming myself. Like I overcompensated. I put too much stank on that jump. Like, and that's it. And I guess the last thing here, because I did in my they do say include a note to the devs. In my note to the devs, I told them that we talked about it fairly, at a good length in this episode of the Say Report, because I knew we were going to call it, "Is that a freaking pigeon?" Long before we sat down to record this episode. But I think that we've talked about this and Resident Evil long enough that we should get to why this episode is called "Is That a Freaking Pigeon?" And
what happened?
So, Sejohn, on Tuesday, I said I saw all my doctors and stuff. On Tuesday, I saw my PCP, my primary care physician. And then the night before, Dale's car, her computer had kind of like a catastrophic like sensor meltdown. Like it's like her sensors were like, "You don't have tires." Like that type of stuff. So I'm like, well, she had a doctor's appointment as well. So I'm like, well, after we finish up our doctor's appointments, we'll drop your car off at the garage to get it looked at. Because you don't really want to drive a car that's like, "How are you driving me? I don't have wheels right now." Right? That's a little scary.
Well, and whatever caused 4 sensors to go out at once is not a good thing to have going on either, right? Because like, what else is going to knock out next?
Exactly. And come to find out, it's the way that the sensors are built in her car, being a 2018, is that like if one of them goes out, it just says that all of them are out, so that you actually take it seriously. I don't know if I love Chevy gaming the system that way, but also when they brought it in, they're like, "But you were missing 2 sensors. 2 of your sensors were completely dead. So like, it's a good thing you got it in there when you did, because God forbid we like something else happened." Fucking computers, man. They're the worst part about modern cars, right? Like,
yes, 100%.
So I agree that, since I'm off for the day, having a bunch of appointments, that I would drive her up to work after we drop off her car. So then I'm on the other side of the bridge, right? The dreaded Washington Bridge, so I can bring her to Bristol for work. And I'm like, I really do not want to go back over the bridge, because by the time I get home, I'm just going to be turning back around to catch her, right? Like that's where my life looked at. So I looked at like the movies that were playing. There's a little movie theater nearby where she works called Picture Show Entertainment. It's in Fall River. I saw, I think, Abominable. We ended up seeing Abominable there. That's the Yeti one, right? Like, so this was like
that's
pre-pandemic.
That's the Yeti one, yeah.
Because we saw Tangled, but then there wasn't a showing of Abominable at the theater we saw Tangled at, so we went there to see Abominable. This was a crazy night. I remember this night. It was a good night. So I'm like, let's see what's playing there, because it's about, 10-minute drive from where Dale works. I'll do it. And one of the films that was playing in laser projection, which, as I'll remind everybody, is kind of the only way I want to be seeing movies from now on, is a film called Reminders of Him. Are you familiar with Reminders of Him, Sejohn? Do you know anything about this movie?
Isn't it from the same person that did that one that you kind of liked last year with James Franco? Or
Dave Franco.
Not James Franco.
Yeah.
Dave Franco.
Colleen Hoover. Who wrote who wrote that Blake Lively movie that I can't. It Ends With Us. So she wrote It Ends With Us.
The really weird abuse one. Yeah.
Yep. She wrote Regretting You, and then she wrote Reminders of Him. She's got other books too, but she is the author of the novels that these movies are based on, and she works a little bit on the screenplay. And so I see that title, and first of all, talk about movies getting buried, because I knew it was coming out the first week of March. I knew it was coming out the third week of March. For the second week of March, March 13th, the only movie I thought that was releasing was the anniversary of Secret of the Ooze, the 35th anniversary screenings of Secret of the Ooze, which nice. I didn't go see because I'm not a fan of Secret of the Ooze. You can go listen to our episode to see why. So I'm like, oh, that movie came out. I remember seeing the trailer for it. And I can send you the trailer, but I kind of want to talk this movie through with you having as little knowledge as possible, Sejohn. I've been sitting on it since I saw this movie for the show. But I remember there being a thing that happened in the trailer where I'm like, motherfucker, I need to see that movie because I need to know why the fuck this is the plot of the movie. Because it doesn't make any sense based on what was shown to me in the film. But there has to be...
Isn't this the one about the car accident?
Yes, it is. It's about a car accident.
I do know a little bit about this.
That's fine.
Yeah,
That's
go ahead, Dev,
fine.
though. We should talk about this.
All right. So the big thing about that is that they get into a car accident, and it is the girl... I should know the girl's name. I am looking up the movie in the episode because I do not remember the character's name. I honestly don't remember the character that I'm going to refer to as not Channing Tatum, paid by Tyreek Withers, because dear God, Tyreek Withers was told you kind of got a Channing Tatum thing, and that's all he does. If my eyes were closed, I would think that it was Channing Tatum playing the role. So Kenna is the main character. And she was driving with her not fiance. We find out that it's his birthday and he planned to ask her to marry him on his birthday. Is something we find out later in the movie. But they've been dating for a while and they're hopelessly devoted to each other. They're in their... I think she's 23 at the time that this happens. And they go on his birthday... They celebrate, and then his best friend, not Channing Tatum, is supposed to be there because he wants him there when he asks his girlfriend to marry him, Kenna to marry him. But when he doesn't show up and his parents are being a little judgmental about her, being what parents are in movies, they go to a lake and they spend some time at the lake, and then driving home that night, they get into an accident. Kenna is driving. They get into an accident and he is killed in the accident. And she is charged with his death. She is charged with vehicular manslaughter and gets 7 years in prison for killing her boyfriend. That's the thing. Now, is
it a drunk driving thing or...
I'm going to wait to reveal it in my recap of this movie till the time that it's recapped in the film. Because that's what I thought, right? I'm it had to have been, she had to have been under the influence of something or anything like that. The fact that I'm not willing to tell you, Sejohn, I think answers the fact that no, it was not a drunk driving thing. But yeah, so she is sentenced to prison, and it turns out that she is pregnant at the time. So while she is incarcerated, she gives birth to a daughter, and she is taken from her. She is denied all parental rights, and her dead boyfriend's parents start to raise this daughter alongside his best friend, not Channing Tatum. And that's the whole thing. So she gets out of jail early. She gets out of her incarceration 2 years early for good behavior. And she goes back to her town that she lived in. And she kind of wants to see her daughter, right? She's hoping that with the time that passed, the parents will have forgiven her. And no, they have not forgiven her. So much so that not Channing Tatum's like, you need to stay the fuck away from them. But like he has conversations with her and he sees that like, well, my best friend was in love with this girl. Like, what the heck and all this other stuff. So he ends up giving her a job at his bar as like, sort of like a dishwasher, janitor sort of situation. Basically, she does Charlie work at his bar. And that whole thing. And then the whole thing is that she's living in an apartment that is like sort of a motel sort of situation, like long-term housing at a motel. And she's trying to prove to these people that like she could see her daughter again. And she meets some great people in the town who are very respectful, but like she can't get a job anywhere because of her record, the fact that she was in prison. Right. So like Lainey Wilson, Lainey, I don't know if you know who Lainey Wilson is. She's a country music star who's an assistant manager at a grocery store who's like, I'm going to hire you to bag because I'm in charge of bagging. She's like, but your manager said he can't hire me because this is a family establishment. She goes, I'm going to deal with him. You like clearly need the opportunity and I want to give it to you. So like she has 2 jobs. She's collecting money. She's like acting as like a friend to a girl with Down syndrome who lives in her building. She's doing all the right things. And then eventually, this whole time she's writing letters to her dead boyfriend. And she's got like 3-4 composition notebooks that are just full of these letters. So not Channing Tatum and her start getting romantically involved. And one night after they have sex, he's like, can you tell me about the night that he died? So, first of all, the fact that the best friend did not show up, he had never met Kenna prior to her incarceration. So that's why, like, he doesn't recognize her. That's how they explain that part of the narrative away. And, like, she even says to him, you were supposed to be his best friend and you couldn't be there for him on his fucking birthday. The reason why you couldn't be there for him on his birthday is that not Channing Tatum was into NFL. He was playing for the Broncos. There's legitimately a scene where he gets drafted and the dead friend is like, yeah, you gotta go and you gotta go kick Brady's ass playing for the Broncos. But then like he couldn't get away like because they had practice and everything. So he couldn't get away. So they run away from the birthday dinner because his parents are kind of being the worst, right? He's like, man, I really hoped that he was going to be here. He had promised. And Bradley Whitford plays the father, right? Talk about burying the lead, Devon Decker. He's like, wow, he's got he got big game coming out. He's got practice. You can't expect your friend to drop everything just for your birthday. But we find out that he had called his best friend and he's like, dude, I really want to propose to her. I got the ring. Like, I want to spend the rest of my life with this girl. I just want you there for when this happens so you can see this next part of my life start the way that I was there for you when yours started. So his parents are being shitty, so they go out to the lake and they share an edible. And now, like, so you'd think, oh, maybe she's under the influence. No, they wait until the edible wears off before they're driving back to town. Like, it is, like, the afternoon, sort of, and it is quite dark by the time they're driving home. So thinking that, like, oh, maybe she was still high on the edible a little bit, let's just go with that. She gets into the accident. The car flips over. She is able to get out of it, and she goes and she checks his arm for a pulse and does not find one. And they've done like a whole thing there where she doesn't have a phone. Like part of her character is that she doesn't have a phone. And part of that was the fact that she just got out of prison, so she can't afford one. But even in like the back stuff, he's like, you still don't have a phone? And she's like, no, everybody I'm with always has a phone. So she cannot get me. The car is wedged on top of him upside down. She can't get to him. She tries for a pulse, sees that he does not have a pulse, goes to the highway, tries to flag somebody down. Nobody stops for her. So she ends up coming into town trying to get town, but she ends up passing out because she has also suffered a major head injury because of this car crash, right? Where she was driving. She wakes up the next morning, like she's passed out at her house trying to get help. She just passed out. They find her the next morning, arrest her, ask her if she's on anything, and charge her with the manslaughter. Because it turns out he was still alive. It's just that his arm was crushed, so there was no blood getting to it, so she wouldn't have been able to get a pulse. So the vehicular manslaughter seems less related to the fact that the accident happened, but the fact that she left the scene of the accident. And then she's so broken that the guy she was in love with, she reads the whole speech, which is like, there was a before you, there was a during you. I never thought about what it would be like if I ever had to deal with the after you. So when they asked me to plead guilty for killing you, I felt responsible, so I took that burden on. And that's why she went to prison. She did everything right. Like, the fact that trucks in the rain would not stop for her at the scene of the accident is fucking insane to me.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those, like,
I mean, and it's obvious that there's been an accident. Like, it's not. She's not
like
just,
they're
like,
not there.
somebody
Like,
on the side of the road.
like you see the car on the side of the road with the flashing. She's right there trying to wave people down. People won't do it, so she tries to like go into town to get the help, but she's losing blood the whole time from her head, and it's just like it's one of those. This is such a narrative fucking convenience. And as much as I like understand why Bradley Whitford and Lauren Graham, the parents of the dead boyfriend, blame her for it, because like their kid is dead, so they're looking for anything to put their grief into, right? Their grief and their anger at losing their child into. And she's the perfect scapegoat, so I get that. But like the fact that it's just one of those fucking narrative sort of bullshit things that like this stuff could happen, but like nobody is gonna be like, this girl got hurt too. Like they don't ever test her for drugs or alcohol. It is never even mentioned that like you had THC in your system, so like we know you were driving under the influence. It is just because she abandoned him. Did you know that he was still alive in the car when you left him there? And it's like, even if he was still alive, she had no way of getting in contact with somebody. Going to get help was the best thing to do. Like, it was frustrating. Like, I like hands in fists of rage as I'm like, this girl.
I mean, even if she did get a pulse off of him, like she probably still would have had to have gone into town to try and get help.
Yeah, right. Like it's just, it was so frustrating. But I mean, eventually, like Tyreek, well, like. So, not Channing Tatum, with his NFL money, is building this beautiful palatial estate on the side of a mountain. So, they spend the night there together after, you know, like, he leaves some event that he's at with Bradley Whitford and Lauren Graham to go see her. It's Mother's Day. It's like Mother's Day is a thing that happens in it. Reminders of Him could be a Mother's Day movie if you're looking for a Mother's Day movie. Real fucking sad. Like I cried pretty much the whole movie. It's a hard one. But like, so he goes and sees Lauren Graham and Bradley Whitford to celebrate Mother's Day with her. But then he goes to an event with Kenna, like, because they're having a Mother's Day at her apartment complex. And they're like, we know you don't have your daughter, but you're still a mom, so you should take part in this with us. Like, it's real nice, this community that she finds from people that are like, yeah, you just got dealt the worst fucking hand ever. Apologies for your terrible life. So he comes to that, and they have a nice little moment together, and then he brings her to that house that he's building, and they spend the night together. So Bradley Whitford drives to that house and finds them the next morning together, and he's like, "He was your best friend," and he walks away. So then not Channing Tatum rushes and he's like, "You're not giving her a chance. Like, you need to know. You took the biggest mistake in her life and have categorized it as who she is. But she's so much more than that. And she did her time and she wants to see a kid." Bradley Whitford just hauls off, knocks this guy in the face. Just punches the dude in the face. Bradley Whitford may just be the greatest villain in all of cinema, Sejohn, is the argument that I'm... But eventually, he steals the notebook from her and he gives it to Lauren Graham. And he's like, "I've bookmarked the letter from the night that this happened, and you should read it. Don't read anything else. That shit is private. But you need to read what happened the night your son passed." So Lauren Graham reads it, and she's like, she goes to her at the apartment building. She's like, "I'd like you to meet your daughter." And then, they meet the daughter, and that's all that. And it ends happy. But there's a reason why this episode is called "Is That Freakin' Pigeon?" And that is because for the little girl, she's going to be 6 years old. She wants a jungle gym for her birthday. So Bradley Whitford, being a exhausted grandfather, decides that he's just going to rebuild the jungle gym that not Channing Tatum and his son played on when they were kids. So when he sees that, not Channing Tatum has a flashback to when they were younger and they got high in there. It seems like for the first time, like the first time that they did drugs together. And he's hanging over the jungle gym upside down and he's looking in the woods and he goes, "Is that a freaking pigeon?" And it turns out that's Bradley Whitford's son's baseball mitt. But that became an inside joke between them. So much so that the daughter, right, the dead guy's daughter, she sees him and she's like, "Is that a freaking pigeon?" A bunch of times throughout it, and you're wondering where that comes from. And then you're given the end. But then at the end of the movie, Sejohn, everything is resolved. Kenna has met her daughter. She has a big enough car to finally come see her daughter, which is a callback to something else in the movie. A pigeon fucking lands on the jungle gym. And it's Bradley Whitford, forgiving not Channing Tatum for all of his actions because, you were doing what was best for the little girl. So, I can't be mad at you anymore. DM is the girl's name, which, just means day. I understand that. But it, the whole time, it just sounds like this girl's name is direct message. That's all I could think. So a pigeon lands on the jungle gym. And they just Bradley Whitford and Tyreek Wither just kind of stare at it. And Tyreek Wither goes, "Is that a freaking pigeon?" And then the pigeon flies away. And I think the pigeon's the angelic form of the dead man.
I'm sorry, but is that the last line and then cut to black? Or is there more movie after that?
No, we follow the pigeon as it flies away.
Oh my god, the final line of this movie is a fucking callback joke.
It's a callback joke. I can hear Lewis Nixon. Lewis Nixon is a comedian I used to work with when I was at Carnival. And he was kind of the worst person to watch movies with. I did it, right? Because sometimes you watch movies with people, even though they're bad to watch movies with. Look at our entire college experience, Sejohn, and the numerous people we watched movies with that I kind of wish we hadn't in retrospect. But whenever I saw a movie with Lewis Nixon, whenever one of those moments happened, those forced callbacks, he would in the theater scream at the screen, "Suits." like that was a mandate from the Suits, from a fucking producer. And that is what is that a freaking pigeon? Because I thought it was cute, it was a cute thing. But then, for the end of this movie to be a pigeon lands in that backyard, as Bradley Whitford like forgives the kid for like trying to give this girl a chance, right? God, there's also a beautiful thing where she's like, you were supposed to be his best friend. You didn't know who I was. You didn't know anything he cared about. Because there's also a little storyline about when she gets into town where the accident happened. There's a memorial and she knocks it over and takes it. And, like, she writes him a letter, and she's like, there's a memorial where our accident happened. I took it down because I know you hated them. Like, and they had a conversation about where he's like, if something like that were ever to happen to me, I don't want to be a fucking wooden cross on the side of the road. Like, that's not the type of reminder I want to be. So, like, she did it for him. And, God, it was a good movie. I recommend it. This has been a Devon Decker summation of the film. There's so much more of it. I've focused a lot on is that a freaking pigeon line?
I mean, at least they didn't, like, find out they're in a video game at the end or some shit like that. I thought we were going to go full-on
Serenity?
Serenity? Yeah.
The only Serenity that will matter. Because apparently the new Firefly, like, animated sequel to that series, is going to retcon the events of Serenity. Which just feels like a way for them to bring Alan Tudyk back, right? Like, if we're going to be honest about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, reminders of him. It was an enjoyable little movie. It's hard, though. I cried like an asshole. It was also kind of a terrible experience because there was a couple of women sitting in the same row as me who were like, oh, so this is what's happening. What's happening? I'll explain it to you. And then they're explaining it, and then because they're explaining it, they miss vital dialogue. So then she's like, oh, God, I missed what he said. What did he say? And I'm like, please just stop. Please just stop and watch the movie. Because it's already...
Trust that the movie will get you there.
And I think one of them had read it, so she was comparing it to it was just an insane sort of situation. But overall, I really enjoyed it. And thank you for letting me sort of bore you with the storyline of it. But I gotta tell you, I really liked Regretting You, and I really liked Reminders of Him. I don't know which one I liked more. Regretting You was a better, like, experience seeing it. But the end of that movie was just kind of like, go fuck yourself. Like, in terms of the callback stuff, I kind of like that Reminders of Him just sort of existed. Like the fact that the last thing in it is a callback to a stupid joke throughout the whole thing, and then it ends, like, that worked for me in a lot of ways.
All right, man.
Yeah. So there you go. Anything else you want to talk about this episode? I think we covered a lot. I think this was from Duck Dodgers to
I've been playing a new puzzle game called Patrick's Parabox.
Okay.
It actually was in a puzzle bundle that was usually $100 but was on sale for $40 on Switch this week.
Nice.
So I just grabbed it because it had a couple of games in it that I'd like I think I talked about Monsters Expedition earlier this year. Their game Good Snowman is Hard to Build was also in it, but then there's this one in Patrick's Parabox, and it's so wild because, like, visually on the surface it gives the impression of just like a Flash game, right? But it is so in-depth and so deep, and the physics of what actually happens. But you are a box, you are moving other boxes around, you need to get boxes into the right space to solve the puzzle. That's it, right? Cool. So it's basically box lining, right? But you have the ability to go into boxes and get out of boxes and all sorts of stuff. And there's like a physics basis to this. Like, whenever you enter a box, you always enter the center of the box, and then the box itself can have another puzzle within it that you have to solve first before you can get out of the box. There is all sorts of cool levels to it. I'm 100 levels in so far. I don't know if I'm anywhere near an end, but I have torn through it. I have eaten it up. But I'll talk more about it once I see where it's going, because I just discovered, like, the ability to, like, clone myself. It's a very, very interesting game.
Cool. So we have that game to look forward to from Sejohn next week. I think I'm gonna be a corporate slave and buy Super Mario Brothers Wonder Switch 2 edition, so I can report
I really want to know
on what the differences are. I really want to know too, which I don't love, but we are where we are in the world, right? So I have some other stuff. I do want to make sure I finish Super Mario Tennis Fever before I do that, so I got some time. But yeah.
All right. Cool, man.
Woo! Alrighty. So thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Say Report. If you want to keep the conversation going, you can join us in our Discord server. Invitations to join are available wherever we are on social media, which as of this recording is Facebook and X, formerly Twitter. Navigate to our bios and you'll be able to click on the link to join the Discord. And if you're not on social media, which both of us get, honestly, I was really toying with getting off of it this week. I'm not going to lie to you. You can just send an email to us directly, thesayreport@gmail.com. We can facilitate you with a Discord link to join our Discord server. Of course, there is the fact that Discord is also kind of a hellscape right now, so I don't know how much longer we'll be doing that. That's a for real production conversation that you and I need to have, Sejohn.
A very, very long one because, there was a reason we left Skype, and now we got to figure out the next place.
Yeah, we got to figure out the next place. But yeah, so if... You know what the best thing to do right now is send us emails to thesayreport@gmail.com, and we will answer any and all of your questions that you might have about this or any of our other episodes. The most important thing, though, is that if you want to address me, Devon Decker, or him, Sejohn Sarwick, directly, just put our first name into the subject line, and we will... distribute it appropriately, but do understand that if you send something to Sejohn and he thinks that it's worth bringing up on an actual episode of the show, he's gonna do that. Like, understand that any submission...
Damn well do it.
Yeah. So just understand that any submissions are open to being talked about on air. That's just to cover our asses in case somebody wanted to sue us for we said that to Sejohn in private and then you talked about it on the show. How could you do that? How could a show called The Say Report have something to say about what I reported? I don't know why I did that voice.
It's a SIPA violation. I don't know.
SIPA. I love it. But yeah, so just keep that in mind. But all that said, thank you again so much for joining us. Thank you to Sejohn for putting up with my insane recap of yet another Colleen Hoover movie. And without any further ado, William, please bring us home. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devon Decker and Sejohn Sarwick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.